Man, if someone had told me a year ago that I'd be sitting alone in my Airstream drinking gas station whiskey and questioning my entire engagement, I'd have laughed in their face. But here we are. Last week, I found a text on my fiance's phone that made my stomach drop like I'd just driven over a cliff. It wasn't even the words, it was the tone. Way too familiar, too easy, too casual. Morning gorgeous. Missed last night already. Hope you wear that red dress again soon. I froze. Not because I didn't know what it meant, I did, but because this was Chelsea, the woman I was going to marry. The woman who used to get excited over my $5 chili and handwritten notes, before all this startup nonsense. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me rewind about a year ago. Back then, life was simple. I was 29. A sous chef at a local diner in Austin, been working there since I was 22. I wasn't rolling in cash or anything, but the bills were paid, the fridge was full, and I had plans save up, restore my uncle's busted Airstream, and launch a taco food truck someday. Chelsea and I met at a pop-up festival downtown. I had grease on my shirt and salsa on my wrist. She walked up to my stand asking if the tacos were actually spicy or just white boy spicy. I told her to take the risk. She took a bite and literally slapped the table. Okay, this slaps. That was it. I was sold. She was funny, confident, sharp as hell. Worked in marketing back then, some social media gig for a startup. We started dating, moved in after a year. She said she loved how grounded I was. Said she admired how I worked with my hands, how I could turn raw stuff into something comforting. She used to hang out at the diner on Saturdays. Sat at the bar, hair in a messy bun, helping me brainstorm names for the food truck. One time she said, "Let's call it Bite Me Double Meaning." I laughed so hard I almost dropped a fryer basket. We weren't perfect, but we were real. We had our little routines, Sunday coffee runs, Netflix nights, cooking weird stuff with leftovers. She made more money, sure, but she never made it weird. At least not then. I remember the night I proposed. Her favorite wine, tacos from our first spot, a ring I'd saved for months to buy, nothing flashy but honest. She cried. I cried. It felt right. Until it didn't. The shift started maybe 6 months ago when she got promoted to senior brand strategy lead at some tech company. Suddenly, it was Zoom calls at 9 p.m., business trips, phrases like growth trajectory and positioning leverage. I had no idea what half that shit meant, and honestly, I didn't care. I just wanted her to be happy. But then her world started feeling very far from mine. She bought a $400 blazer because presentation matters. She stopped eating my food and started ordering vegan grain bowls with activated charcoal. She started following influencer bros who said stuff like, "You can't date someone not leveling up with you." It wasn't just her vibe, it was her face. She looked disconnected. Like every time I said something, she had already moved 2 rooms ahead in her head. Then came Mark, her new supervisor. Tech Bro 101. Wears V-neck tees in winter. Slick smile startup lingo, probably sleeps on a beanbag made of recycled VC funding. At first, she just mentioned him in passing. Mark said, "I nailed the deck today." Then it became Mark invited the team for drinks. Then Mark and I have this late meeting. Look, I'm not a jealous guy. I work in a diner. I've seen it all. People flirting, breaking up, screaming over eggs. But this was different. Something felt off. And then came the distance. Literally. She stopped coming by the diner. Said it was too greasy for her new clothes. My chili was too heavy. The Airstream was a cool dream, babe, but maybe you should aim bigger. What the actual fuck? This woman used to sit cross-legged inside that trailer with me sanding metal, dreaming about our first customer. And now she's acting like I'm beneath her. 2 months ago, I picked up a side gig fixing a friend's taco truck for cash. One night, I get a text from my buddy. He saw Chelsea at a rooftop bar with Mark. It wasn't just drinks. It was full-on flirty energy, no space between them. I confronted her, calmly. "You were with Mark." She blinked. It was a team thing. At 11 p.m. holding hands. She rolled her eyes. "You're being insecure." Nah, screw that. But I didn't blow up. I just started watching. She started locking her phone, working late more often, canceling our wedding vendor appointments. When I offered to bring her lunch to work, she said the office was under renovation. One night, I opened our joint credit card. $300 dinners, $600 hotel stays. One entry labeled Wellness Retreat at a boutique resort, 45 minutes away. That's when I knew something was up, something bad. But I didn't confront her, not yet. I remembered something my uncle used to say. When you're standing in fire, don't flail, stay still. Let them show you where the gasoline came from. So I waited. Last week she came home early, sushi in hand, dressed like she was trying to win a red carpet award. I was frying up leftover tortillas in the kitchen. She walked in, sat down, and said the words I'll never forget. I think we should open the relationship. Just for now, just for me. I blinked. Wait, what? She looked me straight in the eye and said, You're great, Luis. Really, but I'm in a different place right now. I need to explore what else is out there before we commit forever. She said it like she was suggesting we try oat milk. I wanted to scream, wanted to throw the soy sauce bottle across the room, but I didn't. Instead, I smiled. Yeah, that's actually perfect timing. I've been thinking the same thing. She looked like someone just unplugged her brain. What? I leaned back, wiped my hands on my apron, and said, That new barista across the street, Maya, she's cool, super into food trucks. And she laughs at my jokes. Real laughs. Not the corporate kind. She exploded. Maya, are you serious? Oh, I was dead serious. She stormed out after I mentioned Maya, slammed the door so hard the salt shaker jumped off the counter. I sat there staring at the sushi she brought, my favorite roll, which suddenly tasted like cold betrayal. She didn't come home that night. No text, no apology, nothing. So I spent the evening doing what I do best, cleaning. Not the kitchen, but the timeline. I combed through our shared credit card statements, matched them against calendar entries she gave me, checked photo tags, location metadata. Yes, I went full true crime. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed to know just how far this bullshit had gone. And what I found, let's just say this wasn't a one-time emotional oops. This was a fully funded, fully planned second life. Different name used for hotel check-ins. Fake wellness meetings at luxury spots. A Spotify playlist titled Moonlight Feels Right with exactly 1 follower mark. I swear to God, I laughed so hard I had to sit down. She made a playlist for her affair. A literal soundtrack for screwing over her fiancé. That laugh turned into a dead silence. You ever feel so numb that your body just stops, like your brain hits pause on everything because it's just too much? That was me. So the next morning, I brewed the strongest pot of coffee I could, walked out to my Airstream, and started building a plan. Not just revenge for closure. For clarity. I didn't want to just yell or call her a cheater and be done with it. I wanted her to see herself the way I now saw her. So I made a slideshow. Yeah, a literal Google Slides presentation titled, For Your Consideration, The Bullshit Chronicles. First slide, a picture of us from our engagement shoot. Big smiles. Sunset in the background. Caption, When I thought we were building something. Second slide, screenshot of the hotel receipt from her yoga retreat. Third slide, Google Maps timeline showing her car's location versus what she told me. Fourth, that text from Mark. The red dress one. Each slide more damning than the last. It wasn't about making a scene. It was about making it undeniable. I even added transitions. Fade-ins. Like I was building the world's saddest TED Talk. I was angry, yeah. But underneath that was something worse, grief. Because this wasn't just about her cheating. This was about someone I loved becoming unrecognizable. And the worst part, she thought I was too dumb to catch it. That stung deeper than anything. Fast forward to Thursday. I told her we should do a dinner at the diner. Just us and both our families. To talk things through like adults, I said. She hesitated, asked if we really needed to involve everyone. I smiled. You wanted openness, right? Let's be open. She agreed. Probably thought she could spin it, cry a little, guilt me back into line. Not this time. I called my buddy Josh, who runs the diner. Reserved the back room. Told him, don't worry, I'll clean up after. He smirked and said, should I bring popcorn? That night, everyone showed up. Chelsea walked in wearing this designer dress I'd never seen before. Her mom hugged me like nothing was wrong. Her dad clapped me on the back. My parents were already there, bless them, awkward but trying. My little sister had this oh hell yes glint in her eye. She knew something was coming. We sat. I stood up, tapped my fork against a water glass. Before we eat, I prepared something short to help get us all on the same page. Chelsea blinked. Luis, what are you doing? I nodded at the laptop connected to the projector. Sharing. Like you said, open communication. Then I hit play. The first photo popped up. Engagement shoot. Chelsea smiled. A little nostalgia maybe. Then came the receipts. The hotel stays, the timestamps, the playlist, the flirty texts. Her smile disappeared. Her mom gasped. Her dad went, "What the hell is this?" I didn't say a word, just clicked through one slide at a time like I was flipping through our disintegrated future. By the time I got to the slide with the selfie of her and Mark, his arm around her waist, date stamped during one of our wedding vendor weekends, her face was frozen. Not in anger, in shame. She opened her mouth to speak. I raised a hand. Not done. The final slide came up. A simple line. Chelsea, if you didn't want to be with me, all you had to do was say so, before you turned our relationship into a backup plan. Silence. You could hear the hum of the fridge from the kitchen. Chelsea's mom whispered, "Is this true?" Chelsea didn't answer. I closed the laptop, took a breath. Just so we're clear, the wedding's off. The ring's yours, pawn it, burn it, toss it off a rooftop. I don't care. I'm not angry. I'm done. She finally found her voice. Luis, this was cruel. I laughed. You slept with your boss and let me plan a wedding while you were getting hotel room massages on the side. But this is cruel. Her dad stood up. You're not leaving with us. She blinked. Dad? He pointed at me. He deserves better than this. You lied to everyone. For months. I didn't wait for the rest. I walked out. Past her family, past my parents, into the night. It was cold. I didn't notice. Josh handed me a bottle of beer as I stepped outside. You good? I nodded. Give me a couple of days. I'll be great. The next morning, Chelsea tried to call me. Sent long paragraphs of texts. Some apologizing, some blaming me, some just noise. I blocked her. Then I called Maya. Not because I wanted to rebound, but because she once told me, you should serve those tacos from that Airstream. People would eat that up. Someone who saw me for what I could be, not what I lacked. We met up, talked, laughed. She didn't ask questions, just let me exist. I told her I was relaunching the truck, got a couple friends to help finish it. She offered to design the logo. A week later, she showed me a napkin sketch. A taco with a bite missing, smiling smugly. Under it, bite me. Honest food, no bullshit. I stared at it, grinned like a kid. I think we got something here. Want to know the irony? Chelsea got fired. HR found out. Mark got the axe too. Turns out he had a history of screwing around with subordinates. Karma doesn't play favorites. Last I heard, she's working freelance gigs from her childhood bedroom, selling her old heels on Poshmark. Me, I opened the food truck 2 months later. First customer was Maya. Second was Josh. Third was a stranger who said, I saw your story on TikTok. Respect, man. Business is good, not booming but honest, fulfilling. I serve tacos with names like Red Flag Chicken and Gaslighter Pork. They sell fast. And sometimes late at night, I park the Airstream near the lake. Sit on the bumper, beer in hand, music low. And I think, she didn't break me. She freed me. About a week after the food truck launched, things got weird in the best way. Some college kid ordered the Red Flag Chicken, took a selfie with it, and posted a TikTok about this taco made by a guy who exposed his cheating fiancée with Google Slides. The post blew up. Like blow up, blow up. Overnight, my little food truck went from serving 10 people a day to having a line that wrapped around the block. I had to call my old coworkers at the diner to come help during the rush. Even Josh closed early one afternoon just to stop by and say, you realize you just accidentally became a folk hero. People didn't just come for the tacos, they came to say thank you. No joke. I saw that slideshow thing. Bro, you handled it like a goddamn legend. Can I shake your hand? You did what half of us wish we had the guts to do. One woman cried. Legit tears. Told me she'd found her husband's affair the same way through phone records and payment history, but she never said a word because she didn't think anyone would believe her. She hugged me. bought 6 tacos, left a $100 tip. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was something deeper, people connecting through shared pain. Validation. Closure. Some kind of group therapy that came with cilantro and lime crema. And honestly, it helped me more than I expected. Then came the email. Subject line: media interview request. NBC Austin. I almost deleted it, thought it was spam. But nope, real reporter, real camera crew. Wanted to do a local segment called Small Business Spotlight with a viral edge. I said yes, mostly because Maya told me to. You need to own your story. Don't just be that guy with the slideshow. Be the guy who rebuilt. So I sat with the reporter cameras rolling, customers behind me chomping down on tacos. She asked Luis, what would you say to someone going through what you did? I paused, and I said, don't waste your pain. Use it. Build something out of it. Even if it's just a taco stand. I didn't think much of it until Chelsea's mom showed up the next day. I was restocking cilantro when I saw her neatly dressed, quiet, standing off to the side like she didn't know if she should approach. She waited in line, ordered a trust issues tostada. Didn't even blink at the name. When she got to the window, she just looked at me and said, "Can I talk to you for a second?" I stepped out. She handed me a small brown envelope, said it wasn't from Chelsea. She doesn't know I'm here, and I'm not here to defend her, but I wanted you to have this. Inside was an old Polaroid. Me and Chelsea in my uncle's Airstream 2 years ago. She had motor oil on her nose. I had a wrench in hand and a stupid grin on my face. On the back, her mom had written, "She used to brag about you. Said you were the only real person she'd ever met. I don't know what changed, but I know it wasn't you." That hit different. I didn't cry, but I sat down on the curb behind the truck and stared at that photo for a while. And then I threw it out. Not out of spite, just peace. Sometimes moving on isn't about closure. Sometimes it's about clearing space. Maya and I weren't officially dating yet, but she was around a lot. Helped me design a real menu board, organized the inventory, brought me coffee on days I forgot to eat. And once after a long night shift, we ended up sitting in the back of the truck, legs swinging off the edge. She said, "You ever think maybe that heartbreak was the best thing that ever happened to you?" I looked at her. "Don't say that like a Pinterest quote. It sucked." She laughed. "Fair, but look where you are now." I looked around. A food truck I built with my own hands. A line of customers who kept coming back. A version of myself I didn't even know existed a year ago. And yeah, maybe she had a point. A month later, I got a DM. Chelsea. I hadn't seen her name pop up in so long, I almost forgot what it felt like to get that gut punch jolt. Message was short. "Hey, can we talk just one conversation, please?" I didn't respond, but I didn't block her either. 2 days later, I was closing up the truck when I saw her across the street, waiting, nervous, clutching her purse like it might fly away. She approached slow. "Hi." "Hey." "You look good," she said. "I feel good." We stood in awkward silence, then she just said it. I messed up. No dramatic speech, no excuses, no begging. Just that. And I appreciated it. But I wasn't about to crack. So I said, "I know." She nodded like she'd rehearsed this part and didn't expect a lifeline. Then she said something I didn't see coming. "Mark got someone else pregnant. He was sleeping with 2 of us at the same time." Turns out I was the backup plan too. I blinked. Could have said, "Serves you right." Could have gloated, smirked, thrown a taco at her. But I didn't. Instead, I said, "Damn." She stared at me. That's it. I shrugged. I'm not in the revenge business anymore. Then I looked her in the eye. "You didn't break me. You just made space for someone better to find me." She started to cry, like real cry. Tried to say something else, but I raised a hand gently. "Don't. It's okay. You're not the villain in my story anymore. You're just part of the prologue." She nodded. Then she turned around and walked away. And for the first time since everything exploded, I felt light. Not vindicated, not angry. Just done. Maya showed up 10 minutes later. "Was that?" "Yeah." She didn't push. Just walked over, grabbed a cutting board, and started prepping onions for the next day. We worked side by side, quiet, comfortable. And that night, I finally did something I'd been putting off for months. I took off the engagement ring I'd hung on a hook inside the Airstream right above the spice rack. I dropped it in a mason jar, screwed the lid shut, and stuck it under the seat next to the jack wrench. Then I got back to work. Because heartbreak isn't always about healing. Sometimes it's about rebuilding. And I wasn't done building yet. Things really took off after that. Local press turned into regional press. Some food blogger did a write-up that said I was turning heartbreak into hot sauce. Next thing I know, I'm on some list called 10 food trucks to try before you die. It was surreal. One night I was patching holes in the Airstream with duct tape. A month later, I was booking private catering gigs for tech companies. Even got invited to a food festival, real stage, real audience, real damn pressure. And through all of it, Maya was there. Not as a sidekick, as a partner. She started helping with the books, redesigned the website, took over social media, started a TikTok account for the truck, posted behind-the-scenes clips of me yelling, "Where's the damn cilantro?" while salsa music played in the background. People loved it. She kept saying, "It's not just the food, Luis. It's the story. That's what people are buying." I didn't get it at first, but she was right. They didn't just come for the tacos. They came because they saw themselves in my mess, my bounce back, my refusal to stay bitter. It became bigger than me. But as things grew, something else did too. Quiet at first, then loud as hell. Imposter syndrome. Like, who was I to be inspiring anyone? I was still living out of a retrofitted trailer, eating leftover beans out of takeout containers, Googling how to do my own taxes at midnight. I wasn't some business genius. I was a dude who got cheated on and built a taco stand to keep from falling apart. One night after the truck closed, I sat with Maya on the roof of the Airstream just staring at the stars like an idiot. She asked, "What's on your mind?" And I said, "I feel like I'm faking it." She just blinked confused. Faking what? All this, the hype, the growth, like eventually people will realize I'm not this strong guy, that I'm just winging it every day. She took a sip of her horchata, leaned her head against my shoulder and said, "You know what faking it looks like? Pretending to be okay while living a lie. What you're doing, that's surviving out loud. That's strength." That line hit me harder than any of the therapy podcasts I'd been listening to. 3 months into our quiet little success, we did something terrifying. We signed a lease. Well, I signed it. Maya just stood next to me, grinning, practically bouncing. We found this tiny spot used to be a smoothie bar. Big enough for a kitchen counter and like 6 seats. Rent wasn't cheap, but it was doable. We decided to keep the food truck running for festivals and events, but the brick and mortar would be home base. When the sign went up, "Bite Me Tacos, Honest Food." "No bullshit," Maya cried. I didn't, not right away. But that night, after we painted the walls ourselves and laid down the last mat in the kitchen, I turned off the light, sat on the prep table, and let the tears come. Because damn, I had built something. Not just revenge, not just recovery, a real future. Things with Maya shifted too, slowly, organically. I started noticing the little things. How she hummed when she was focused. How she'd crack her knuckles. And then shake her hands like she was rebooting. How she remembered the names of all our regulars and asked about their pets like she actually cared. One night we were cleaning up after a chaotic dinner rush. She was wiping down the counter and I was restocking the cooler. She said without looking up, "You ever think about us like, as a thing?" I looked up, caught her reflection in the metal fridge door. "Every day." She smiled, but her voice got small. "I don't want to be a rebound." I walked over, leaned against the counter. "You're not. You're the reason I didn't stay broken." And that was it. No fireworks, no dramatic kiss under string lights. Just us understanding each other in a way neither of us had really felt before. Then came the twist. Of course, there's a twist. Life doesn't let you just ride the high. One afternoon, I'm in the back going over inventory. Maya's working the front. A guy walks in, mid-50s, khakis, polo shirt, Bluetooth headset still in his ear. Asks for me by name. I walk out. He gives me a tight smile. "You're Luis." "Yeah." "I'm Mark." No joke, that Mark. Chelsea's Mark. He extends a hand. I don't take it. "What the hell are you doing here?" He shrugs like we're old college buddies. I heard about the truck, heard the name. Took me a while to piece it together. But I figured we should talk. I crossed my arms. We have nothing to talk about. I just wanted to clear the air. Look what happened with Chelsea. It wasn't personal. She was just there. I laughed, loud. So you came all the way here to tell me she meant nothing to you. He blinked like that wasn't the reaction he expected. I'm just trying to make peace. Dude, you burned that bridge, pissed on the ashes, and then cheated on your own wife on top of it. He bristled. Look, I've changed. No, you haven't. You're still out here trying to control the narrative. Maya had walked up by then, stood behind me. Mark looked at her. You moved on fast. I turned fully toward him. You don't get to comment on anything in my life. He opened his mouth again, probably to throw some weak apology at me. I cut him off. You don't get redemption here, Mark. You don't get closure. You get tacos or you get out. He stared at me like he wanted to say something snide. But Maya stepped forward. Actually, we're closed. It was 2:30 in the afternoon. He got the message. Walked out without another word. Maya and I stood there, hearts racing, adrenaline high. And then she looked at me and said, we really need a no douchebags allowed sign. After that, I couldn't sleep for 3 nights. Not because of Mark, but because part of me realized I'd made it. Past the pain. Past the memory. Past the old version of myself who thought getting cheated on was the end of the world. It wasn't. It was the beginning. And I knew deep down I would have never become this version of myself if Chelsea hadn't walked out. If Mark hadn't been a smug, cheating jackass. If my whole life hadn't cracked open like a damn piñata, spilling everything I thought mattered. Turns out, the best parts were still inside. 2 weeks after the Mark stunt, I was finally starting to feel like life had hit a decent groove. Business was steady. Maya and I had a rhythm, half work, half laughter. Lots of quiet late-night drives where we didn't talk about our past, just whatever music was playing. I'd stopped checking Chelsea's socials, yeah. I had been, sue me, stopped imagining what I'd say if I saw her again. I was solid. Or at least I thought I was. Until I got the call. It was my mom. I was prepping lunch service halfway through chopping a mountain of onions. She never calls me during work hours unless something's wrong. So I answer, wiping my hands on my apron, already bracing. She starts slow like she's tiptoeing around landmines. Luis, your father came by today. Now pause. You gotta understand, my dad left when I was 11. Walked out on my mom, me, my little sister. No goodbye. Just a note on the fridge that said, I need space. Didn't hear from him for 12 years. Then randomly sent me a Facebook friend request with no message. I deleted it, blocked him. End of story. Or so I thought. He wants to talk to you, my mom said. Said he's sick. My stomach flipped. What kind of sick? Didn't say, but he looked rough. I didn't know how to process that. The man who bailed on my childhood now wanted back in because he might be dying. WTF, do you do with that? I didn't tell Maya right away. I couldn't. Instead, I buried myself in work, took double bookings, volunteered for every catering gig, scrubbed pans like they owed me money. But it didn't work. The next night, I stood outside the restaurant after closing, watching the streetlights flicker. Maya came out, leaned next to me. You good? Fine. She raised an eyebrow, said nothing. 10 minutes passed. Then I cracked. My dad's back. She blinked. Your dad? Yeah. I told her everything. About the note, the friend request, the sudden appearance, the sickness. She listened without interrupting. Then she said, so, what do you want to do? That question wrecked me more than anything, because I didn't know. I wanted to tell him to fuck off. I wanted to scream at him. I wanted to ask him why he thought he deserved a damn thing now. But I also kind of wanted to see his face, see if he even looked like me anymore. A few days later, I drove to the address my mom gave me. It was a motel, one of those old beat-up ones with peeling paint and a sad vending machine that only took quarters. Room 8. I stood outside that door for 10 minutes. Finally knocked. He answered. And I froze, because time had not been kind to him. Gray, skinny, sunken eyes, like someone had taken a picture of the man I remembered and ran it through every filter for regret. He coughed. Luis. I nodded. He stepped aside, let me in. No small talk, no fake smiles. The room smelled like dust and stale fast food. We sat on opposite beds like strangers in a waiting room. I got lung cancer, he said. Stage 4. I said nothing. He coughed again, wiped his mouth with a napkin that had mustard on it. I didn't come for pity, he added. I just didn't want to go without facing some of what I left behind. I looked at the floor. You walked out. I know. You left. I know. And now you want a clean slate because you're scared to die. He didn't flinch. No, he said. I want a messy one. I want whatever truth you got. Yell throw something, call me names. Just don't lie. Don't pretend like it didn't hurt. That threw me. Because I expected excuses. Blame shifting. Maybe some I did it for your own good crap. But he just owned it. And that pissed me off more than anything. You missed everything, I snapped. Graduation. First job. The time I got mugged. When Grandpa died. The day I opened the truck. You missed my whole damn life. His eyes watered, but he didn't speak. And you think saying I know makes it better? It doesn't. I needed you, and you weren't there. You don't get a do-over. I know, he whispered. I stood up. Then why the hell am I here? And he just said, because you're a better man than I ever was. I walked out. Didn't slam the door. Didn't cry. But I did drive around for 2 hours. Parked near the river. Called Maya. Where are you? She asked. Nowhere. Everywhere. She showed up 20 minutes later, handed me a coffee. Talk, she said. So I did. Every shitty memory, every ache I'd buried. She didn't say much, just held my hand and listened. And somehow that was enough. That weekend I didn't go back to see him. But I sent him a bag of groceries. Just the basics. Bread, eggs, soup. No note. Just a delivery, a gesture. Not forgiveness, not peace. But something. A tiny sliver of mercy. And I realized maybe that's what strength is. Not letting someone back in. Just refusing to carry the poison anymore. The next week, Maya surprised me with a little ceremony at the restaurant. What's this? I asked. She grinned. Soft opening anniversary. 1 year since we launched this madness. I looked around. Our team was there. My mom, my sister, even Josh. They toasted, took pictures, gave me a little plaque that said built from scratch, served with soul. And I stood there thinking about everything. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the rebuild, the face of a father I barely recognized, the quiet strength of a woman who stood by me without needing to fix me. And I realized something big. I wasn't surviving anymore. I was living. Really, finally, unapologetically living.